Episode 15, Martin Harris Gets Taken Twice. Welcome back to Hidden and Distorted History of the Church, where we uncover the lesser-known truths about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the Mormons. My goal is to reveal the authentic historical facts behind the Mormon Church. Recap. In the last episode, we explored how Joseph Smith and Oliver Cowdery alleged they received the restored priesthood from John the Baptist, Peter, James, and John. However, no external witnesses beyond these two men can corroborate their claims. The Harmony Days. During the few months of the purported translation of the Book of Mormon, Joseph Smith and his household were supported by Emma's father, Isaac Hale. Joseph was not working, had a mortgage on the house, and was purchasing land from his father-in-law, while Martin Harris's financial support was dwindling. Despite this, Martin continued to support Joseph as much as possible. The household, which included Joseph, Emma, Samuel Smith, Oliver Cowdery, and Martin Harris, resided in the small Smith home. When Emma's father cut off support, they relied on Joseph Knight Sr., who provided what he could. I let him have some little provisions and some few things out of the store, a pair of shoes, and $3 in money to help him a little. Joseph appeared content to perpetuate a life of poverty, reminiscent of his childhood and teenage years, rather than earn an honest day's wage. He seemed willing to drag others into his financial struggles, rather than put in the effort to support himself. With Harris and Knight Sr. enabling his lack of responsibility, Joseph had little incentive to work, choosing instead to continue his reliance on their support. Smith, already behind on payments to his father-in-law, Isaac Hale, and facing the end of Hale's patience with his imprudence, was once again facing harassment, or, as the church would term it, persecution. It was the perfect moment for Joseph and his entourage to escape. The film Joseph Smith, American Prophet, depicts Smith being taken to court twice for disorderly conduct. Based on church history volumes, the movie presents this as the reason for Smith's move to Fayette, claiming he was acquitted of both charges before relocating to avoid further persecution and delays in translating the Book of Mormon. However, there's a critical flaw in this narrative. The events depicted in the film actually occurred in 1830, while Smith and his group moved to Fayette in June 1829. This discrepancy is significant, as the movie's timeline is inaccurate. By that time, Smith was financially depleted, relying heavily on Knight Sr., Martin Harris, and formerly his father-in-law Hale, who had recently severed support due to financial debts. This situation provided a convenient excuse for Smith to relocate, with Oliver Cowdery knowing exactly whom to turn to for assistance. It's been suggested that Joseph Smith's move to Fayette, New York, was financed by Joseph Knight Sr. This was not the last time Knight Sr. would come to Smith's rescue during a crisis. We'll delve into Knight Sr.'s further assistance in the coming year and in another video. Welcome to Fayette, NY, where the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints claims its official beginning, despite ongoing disputes. Oliver Cowdery reached out to David Whitmer for help, seeking a refuge where he and Joseph Smith could continue their work. David's father, Peter Whitmer Sr., agreed to host them, and on June 1, 1829, the Smith party arrived in Fayette. The history of the church recounts, shortly after commencing to translate, I became acquainted with Mr. Peter Whitmer of Fayette, Seneca County, New York, and also with some of his family. In the beginning of the month of June, his son, David Whitmer, came to the place where we were residing and brought with him a 2-horse wagon for the purpose of having us accompany him to his father's place and there remain until we should finish the work. It was arranged that we should have our board free of charge and the assistance of one of his brothers to write for me, and also his own assistance when convenient. Having much need of such timely aid in an undertaking so arduous, and being informed that the people in the neighborhood of the Whitmers were anxiously awaiting the opportunity to inquire into these things, we accepted the invitation and accompanied Mr. Whitmer to his father's house, and there resided until the translation was finished and the copyright secured. Upon our arrival, we found Mr. Whitmer's family very anxious concerning the work and very friendly toward ourselves. They continued so, boarded and lodged us according to arrangements, and John Whitmer in particular assisted us very much in writing during the remainder of the work. This account presents a significant issue. Joseph's claim that he had met Peter Whitmer Sr. and his family before their move to Fayette contradicts the evidence. Joseph had no prior acquaintance with Peter or his sons. Oliver Cowdery had been corresponding with David Whitmer, not with Peter or the rest of the Whitmer family. The LDS Church's study manual states, David Whitmer, then 24 years of age, eagerly showed these letters to his parents and brothers and sisters. Persecution began to intensify in the Harmony area, so late in May, Oliver communicated with David about the possibility of Joseph and Oliver going to stay with the Whitmers in Fayette. In response, Peter Whitmer Sr., David's father, invited Joseph to stay at his farm home as long as was needed to finish the work of translation. So did Joseph meet Peter Whitmer Sr. beforehand or not? The evidence suggests they did not. Why would Joseph fabricate such a claim? Could it be that he was more focused on creating a narrative of persecution to justify their departure from Harmony, rather than recalling the actual events surrounding their move to Fayette? That was, he was in severe debt to Isaac Hale. Recall that the Joseph Smith history, from the history of the church, was written by Smith beginning in 1838 and has undergone multiple revisions by Brigham Young and later by Joseph Fielding Smith. This text has been edited significantly over time, which raises serious questions about its reliability. Why does the church's account differ from the one where Joseph supposedly first met David Whitmer and then his family in Fayette? The reality is that the supposed tale of persecution seems to be nothing more than a fabrication by Smith and Cowdery designed to secure new financial support. By this time, Martin Harris was running out of money, and Joseph still owed Isaac Hale. The church claims that Oliver Cowdery asked David Whitmer if they could move to Fayette, yet Joseph's version states, "We accepted the invitation and accompanied Mr. Whitmer to his father's house, and there resided until the translation was finished and the copyright secured." This phrasing, "until the copyright was secured," is particularly intriguing. Smith had plans to sell the copyright to the Book of Mormon in two places, his local area and Upper Canada. Before delving into how Martin Harris was deceived, we need to explore this copyright issue further. Before I go further, I need to give a brief history of the Whitmer family, as it ties into the history of the Smith and Cowdery family practices of magic practice. The Whitmer family, who relocated from Pennsylvania to Fayette, NY in 1827, were of German descent and actively participated in a German-speaking community. This connection is crucial because, as noted in an earlier video, occult practices prevalent in Smith's time had roots in Germany and France. The Whitmers, like the Smiths, were involved in occult magic and practiced it. Their ties to such practices are further evidenced by the seer stones owned by David Whitmer, which were obtained from Native American burial sites in western New York. These stones included a Native American gorget and another piece now held in the library archives of the Community of Christ in Independence, Missouri. The Whitmer family's belief in and practice of occult magic parallel Joseph Smith's use of his seer stone and Oliver Cowdery's use of a divining rod. This connection is critical as it feeds into what LDS historians and scholars might dismiss as conspiracy theories. Oliver Cowdery's relationship with the Whitmers could have developed in one of three ways. 1. He might have met them during his travels as a preacher in Pennsylvania. Number 2. He could have encountered them while staying with a relative in Fayette, close to the Whitmer farm. 3. He might have been courting a Whitmer daughter. Oliver married Elizabeth Ann Whitmer in 1832. Given that Oliver met David Whitmer in Palmyra in 1828, and considering the numerous opportunities for Joseph and Oliver to engage with the Whitmers through religious revivals, it's plausible they might have involved the Whitmer family in their scheme. Moreover, just a month before completing the Book of Mormon, the Whitmers were involved in securing their first copyright attempts. They sought protection in the federal district court with clerk Richard R. Lansing, as detailed in the Doctrine and Covenants sections 14, 15, and 16. This backdrop raises significant questions about the authenticity of the claims surrounding the Book of Mormon and the integrity of those involved in its creation. Martin Harris had returned to Palmyra shortly after the move to Fayette, embroiled in a legal battle with his wife Lucy over the financial manipulations by Joseph Smith. Despite these complications, Martin came back to Fayette seeking proof of the golden plates. This return marked the beginning of the second con involving Martin, orchestrated by Joseph, Oliver Cowdery, and David Whitmer. As the translation of the Book of Mormon neared completion, Joseph faced the urgent need to convince Martin of the authenticity of the plates, given that Martin's support and money were crucial. To resolve this, Joseph arranged for Martin, along with Oliver and David, to witness the plates. According to the official LDS account, the witnesses claimed, "Be it known unto all nations, kindreds, tongues, and people, we have seen the plates which contain this record. We also know that they have been translated by the gift and power of God. An angel of God came down from heaven, and we beheld and saw the plates and the engravings thereon. And we know that it is by the grace of God the Father and our Lord Jesus Christ that we beheld and bear record that these things are true." However, this account is riddled with inconsistencies. Joseph Smith's sudden need to prove the plate's existence to Martin aligns suspiciously with Martin's financial contributions and his wavering faith. The account of the witnesses is fraught with unverifiable claims and lacks independent confirmation, raising questions about the authenticity of their testimonies. The purported divine revelation and angelic visitation described in the account served Joseph's purpose of securing Martin's continued support, casting a long shadow of doubt over the legitimacy of the witness claims. There's more to this story, which we'll dive into next time. But for now, we'll move ahead. Martin was once again under Joseph's spell, easing the pressure on Smith. But Joseph still needed Martin's money to print the Book of Mormon. In the next episode, we'll uncover how Joseph masterfully orchestrates this crucial step. In summary, the move to Fayette, NY, and the claims of persecution, financial troubles, and supposed divine visions raise serious questions about the historical accuracy and integrity of Joseph Smith's narrative. Next time on Hidden and Distorted History of the Church, we'll dive into the details of the vision the three witnesses reportedly had and unravel the rest of this story and how Martin Harris is conned. Don't miss it. Please watch for future videos, and thank you so kindly for watching. This is the Ex-Mormon Informant signing off for the day.